I forgot about the reset thing.
And we're here, everybody. We are here. We are here. So, internet's been laggy, so bear with us if my internet is trash.
Has it been suspect?
A little bit.
It could
But,
be my end. We're having OD, like the crazy thunderstorms tonight. The ones with like the thunder that hits for like 5 seconds and the lightning that like will light up the whole sky and turn it bright.
yeah, that could do it.
That type of lightning.
This is the first podcast we've had since I may have had COVID.
Oh. How are you feeling?
I've been back to 100% for a while, but I'm at the point now where like I almost wish it is that for sure. So I know that like I could breathe easy a little bit and like I could still be cautious, but not like worried when I go in public, you know?
Yeah. A lot of people were worried for you. A lot of people hit me up asking like how you were and stuff like that. I'm like, he's my boy. He's good. Like, but fucking send him a message or some shit if you're that curious. Like, or just tweet him or something like that. Like,
well, you have DMs open. That's why people reach out to you, I bet.
Yeah. You've always told me like, if you don't want to be bothered or whatever, just close them. But like, I enjoy people sending me some stuff from time to time.
You're the people's champ. Corin is the people's champ.
Most of the time, I'm like, some messages are like just OD, and they send like a whole the shit that pisses me off recently is people who will start their post with like, I don't normally do this, and then just go off on some crazy shit. And I'm like, you clearly do this shit normal. Like, don't just leave out that I don't normally do this, or I'm not this type of person, or I didn't think I'd ever get to this point. Because it's like, you got to that point, so you've obviously like been at that point before and thought about that shit, you know?
Do you respond to every single one?
Nah. There's some that are OD that like I'm just like, I'm not like, what do you want me to fucking say to this shit?
How many do you get a day? Do you get like a bunch a day?
Not even close to any like a day. It's probably like 2 or 3 in a month, if that.
I see. Okay, you know? So it's not crazy.
No, not crazy at all. And like I don't know, I'm bored as shit right now, like everybody else. I don't mind entertaining. One dude, his name is like Jackson or something like that. He hit me up, was like a student at some Utah State Community College or some shit. Was like, I'm doing a class. Would you mind doing like just answering a couple questions? I was like, sure. Like I went into it like not knowing if dude was real. He didn't have a profile picture on his Twitter. But whatever.
Yeah, it was semi-suspect, and then you found out it was fine.
Yeah. I mean, what was someone gonna do? Like, they can't hack into my phone from my DMs. Hopefully not.
No, I think you're good on that.
I'm sure mad people are getting hacked and stuff right now. Just like agreeing to. I'm probably not supposed to talk about it, but when I found those sneakers at the Goodwill store a minute ago, I tried to get on Pawn Stars, this and that, because I was just like, let me hit them up. The guy Chumley likes Jordan, so we'll see if he wants to like. It would be dope to go on Pawn Stars. I've always loved that show. Got in touch with someone from like the History Channel or whatever, and they wrote back to me like, yeah, we'll forward it on to the guys to see if they're interested. Turns out that like they weren't interested. The shoes were like a little bit beat up. So now with this whole quarantine thing, they were trying to come out with this new TV show, like like an auction thing or whatever. So they hit me back up like, yo, we might want you to be on the show. So I had to like sign papers and stuff like that. And so who knows? They probably stole my whole identity because I haven't heard from them in a hot minute.
That was the same people from History Channel?
Yeah, supposedly. It wasn't like it wasn't the same lady that hit me up originally, but he had the email signature and everything looked official. So hopefully it was official, but I probably got and someone's probably running up my credit card's probably already maxed out, so they can't run it up any much more.
I feel like you should have like maybe called Molly in and been like, what do you think of this?
Well, she was suspect about it too, but she was like, whatever. I asked her cousin, her cousin is in law school, so she read over the thing, was like, it doesn't look like anything too suspect. I think it's real. I'll probably get fined now for talking about it.
No, I feel like they're trying to get your social security number and stuff.
Some shit. Yeah, because he hit me up afterwards and was like, who are other possible people that could be in the thing? So I had to tell him, like, it could be maybe like my who are other characters that could maybe be in the videoing? I was like, I thought it was just gonna be me. So
It's a 50-50 chance you got.
I got. Yeah, now I'm worried about it. But
I
whatever.
mean, it's possible that it was just the History Channel, but
Hopefully.
if you haven't heard back from them in a minute, who knows?
At this point, man, the world's in such a weird spot. I really don't give a fuck.
So how are you guys doing in quarantine right now?
I'll be honest, man. It's tough now. Like I definitely stay at home and still do social distancing and do like your shit to like bring the curve back down or flatten the curve, whatever the fuck the term is. But I feel people getting tired of this because it's just like I'm in the suburbs, so like I have some sidewalk to walk on. I've got a backyard. If you're in the city in like an apartment or like just somewhere that you can't really get out, it's a wrap. It's been so long with this.
In cities, if you go out, you're probably gonna get it.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like if you're trapped in an apartment building right now with your kids and you don't have like a backyard or something to just like like I have areas of my house where I could get away for a second. I could go upstairs and hide in the bathroom for a hot minute. And like Molly or someone just be like, where is he? If you're in a small ass apartment, like a studio or something in New York, and like you can't go outside because you'll get that shit. There's nowhere you can hide. You can't. Yeah, it's a wrap. It's tough for people. So I understand why people are getting frustrated and getting upset with like this whole timetable shit. Illinois is crazy. They just pushed us back to May 31st, and one dude in some county, like pretty far south in Illinois, he sued the state for extending the stay-at-home order, and the judge ruled in his favor. So like it's been all over the news, and Governor Pritzker is like talking about it, but like this one dude is now it's getting appealed right now. But I think right now like there's one guy that's allowed to not like obey the stay-at-home order because he sued the state.
But see, so how strong is the order though? Because I feel like, at least where I am in New York, like, yeah, we all know like social distancing, stay home as much as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still plenty of people who are working.
Mad people doing shit, and it's like you could finagle it any way to say you're essential. I feel like, you know.
Well, yeah, and I was just gonna say that. So the golf courses opened up over here, and they have like a bunch of rules. Like usually in golf, you could pull the pin if you want when you're on the green, but now they made it so you can't pull the pins. They put these things in the cups so that when you pick up your ball, you're not touching anything that anybody else could have touched. They got rid of the rakes in the bunkers, so you can't you have to like rake it with your foot kind of. Mm-hmm. And they have obviously social distancing rules, and then also the place where you normally go in to pay, there's just like no, you go right to the first tee, and you could check in there, but it's all of it's outside so that you keep the distance. So I went and played today. And like when I was done and I took a shower, I literally felt like 3 times better than I felt since all this began, because I was outside. It was perfect weather, 65 degrees and sunny with a breeze. It was just so beautiful, got sweat a little bit. And then like after I took the shower, the fact that I was like interacting with people, like having conversations.
Yeah.
Outside, like everything was so beautiful, and I was like, damn, the psychological impact of like you go outside and you're taking a risk, and like there's essential workers and they got to do what they got to do. Yep. And then everybody's struggling, and if you go out, it's a risk to get it. If you stay in, the longer you stay in, it is true that it has a psychological toll on everybody.
Yeah, like, either way, going out or staying in. To your point, I hopefully Molly doesn't listen to the podcast anymore, but I went to White Castle.
She's definitely going to listen to the podcast.
She hasn't listened in a hot minute, but I know right when we're done, she's going to be like, I listened, and what?
I'm sort of offended by that she doesn't listen anymore.
Yeah, she gave up. I don't know. I think she's just like, she watches all these pregnancy weird shit that I don't know how she gets into. But, so I went to White Castle, and the dude finished taking my order, and I told you, he like coughed. Like this is the first time I've ever heard anybody cough on an intercom at a drive-thru. I don't know if he left the microphone on purposefully or like what the reasoning was, but like I've never heard anybody cough into the shit after they've said like, "Oh, welcome to Burger King. I'm gonna take order," and they go, I would. It had to have happened right now, which was weird. So he handed me my bag, and ever since then, I've been thinking that I've gotten the shit.
Yeah, but that's just your brain because you texted me the same day, like 20 minutes later, like, yo, I feel something in my chest.
Yeah, but I've always been like that. My body works weird like that. Where it's not like if I eat some food that fucks up my stomach, it'll come through that night. It's not like I'll
No,
have
that's
stomach pains
true.
the next day.
I know because we've traveled before, and I know that like when you eat something that doesn't sit well with you, it's immediate.
Mm-hmm.
But for COVID, that doesn't happen. Like it's going to take time. It would take 2 to 4 days.
It's weird. What do you think about? Do you think like is the curve even flattening for like states to be opening, or governors and people in positions of power getting to a point, and business owners where it's like it's enough already? You got to do some shit regardless of what's happening.
I think it depends. It varies from state to state. Like you got the guy in Georgia.
Yeah, he's bugging.
Who like literally their numbers were low for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They started rising. When they were starting to rise, he was like, "All right, time to reopen." Everybody was like, "What are you talking about? Like you got to stay inside maybe more than anybody because now it's just hitting your state hard."
Mm-hmm.
And so he came up with the rules. In the first batch of openings, they had like barbershops. And even Trump was like, and Trump is all about getting people to go back to work. Even he in his press conference was like, I don't know. That seems like maybe it goes a little too far to do the barbershops now.
Well, here's the thing. So my father-in-law brought this to my attention. He's black, and he was like, this is the people like the governor of Georgia. I think he's a Republican dude.
Brian Kemp, yeah.
They're like, this is all playing on race and like social class right now. So like you see the first stuff that's starting to open up are a lot of professions that are geared more towards people like less educated people, like barbershops or tattoo parlors or bowling alleys for that matter, And Trump's first thing when he came into office, like more or less, he said, if I could win over like the dumb people, I'll be all right. I'm not saying that people who own barbershops and tattoo parlors are dumb by any means, but like it's usually the people with, like it's a different social class that like gets a lot of tattoos or something like that. You feel my like point, like where there's, I don't know.
You're saying the government doesn't care about poor people and people of color, and so those places are opening up first. That's what you're saying.
And they're like allowing them to open up first, as opposed to I don't know what malls and shit like that or something like that,
or like Orange County or something where it's very rich people.
Yeah,
I don't know if I buy that, and here's why. In the case of Brian Kemp, I just think he's dumb. Like it's like with Mike Pence today. This thing blew up today. Mike Pence was walking around the Mayo Clinic without a mask. He's the only person without a mask. And everybody on Twitter was like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, and he said in the press conference, he said something like, "Oh, I wanted to be able to look these people in the eye as I whatever." And everybody's like, "And a mask would let you look him in the eye too."
Yeah, was he trying to French kiss them or some shit?
So my point is like Mike Pence, he's a hardcore Christian fundamentalist, and like he doesn't believe in the science when it comes to climate change. He doesn't believe in the science when it comes to evolution. He literally, and I remember because I covered this when he was picked for VP back in like 2016. He questioned whether or not cigarettes lead to lung cancer. Like any anti-science position, he's taken. So in a case with a guy like Mike Pence, he just doesn't know the facts about the virus, and to the extent he does, he doesn't care that much about the impact of it. And I feel like it's the exact same thing with Kemp, that he's just not, he doesn't care about the science, he doesn't know about the science, and he doesn't really care the outcomes because he doesn't think it'll be that bad even if he opens everything up. You know what I mean? Like that's
so why not just open everything? Like why are you
I
being
think
selective between like with that with why the fuck would a tattoo parlor be on the list of first things to open up?
Well, that list, I don't know. I know Trump did the phases thing, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I don't know if Kemp did. Like, I don't know if he picked and choose.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I think that the rush for a guy like that to open up the state, like, as people are just starting to get it, I just don't think he's that smart. And I also think they don't want, like, the economy to tank. Like, they would rather have some people get COVID with the economy doing okay than people not get COVID and the economy tanks. Like, that's, I think, how they think. But they don't realize that that's not necessarily going to happen. Just because you open everything up doesn't mean that the economy is going to be good money. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just think that it varies. Like, apparently the guy in Washington, Jay Inslee, handled it very well, and he had a lot of scientists that helped him with his decision making. California was handling it a little better than New York, but they're also more spread out in California than they are in New York. New York, everybody's right on top of each other.
Yeah, I don't know if the video I saw was who knows with videos nowadays of when they're from and they're posted now, but like I think they were on Huntington Beach and they were like, this is right now. There was mad people.
Yep.
I mean, no one was wearing a mask and it looked like there was a lot of people out. But I don't know. I mean, you don't hear like, and I haven't been following the news at all, but you don't hear much about like Arizona and like New Mexico and, you know, even Florida for that matter. Like, are there a lot of cases there? Is it bad there? And like maybe the weather does play a factor or something like that. But it seems like, and now they said Louisiana is actually getting better. And I remember when this first started, everyone was still out on Bourbon Street wilding out. So it's like, I think maybe that's why people are starting to get lighter to like opening up, because they're seeing other states maybe not be in such a bad position. So they're like, well, let's just go back already.
I don't know. I think I don't know to what extent science is weighed in the decision and to what extent the experts are being listened to. I really think it varies big time, because you got the governors are of all different ideological persuasions, and they're, you know, both Republicans and Democrats. And in the case of Trump, like, you know, I mean, obviously he doesn't really know what he's doing and he's just kind of winging it, because everybody saw the disinfectant thing. I mean, that was legendary.
Yep. Yeah.
The disinfectant comment, like,
I sent the meme and to you, but like everyone's been passing around. It's like, don't even warn motherfuckers about putting Lysol in your, like, if someone wants to be dumb enough to inject some Lysol or eat a Tide Pod back in the day, let them, man. That's on them for not knowing that they shouldn't be eating that shit.
It is kind of wild that we live at a time and place when, like, it's not 100% of people that know, like, don't do that.
I saw a dude this was like, he put like a firecracker on his eyelid and try to light it, and then like his eye like burst out. Like, just people are dumb. So like I said, if someone wants to eat some Lysol, just make sure that Lysol, if you're the company, just put on the thing so you don't get sued. This will make you die. It's fatal. And if someone does it and they die, so be it. Like, it's just, to your point, people are dumb, and I don't know how. Yeah, there's still people out there that can really think that.
I mean,
that shit.
It's 99.9% of the public that knows don't do that.
Yeah,
but the fact that anybody doesn't know that is like crazy, and the fact that our president is like really thought. It's hilarious, because when you watch that clip, you see the train of thought. Like, I said this on my show. If a kid said that, like if a middle schooler or an elementary school kid, like let's say a fourth grader said that to you and was like, well, the disinfectant obviously kills it quickly, so that's good. And the UV light kills it quickly, so that's good. So like, why can't we find a way to do that in the body? Right. Like, you'd hear that and you'd be like, that's a smart kid. Like, that the kid is piecing together stuff and like asking a question about it.
Yeah.
But when you're a grown ass man and you're the president, and like, you don't understand that just because it works outside of the body doesn't mean it works inside the body, and just because it works outside the body doesn't mean that those things won't like hurt you inside the body. Like, yeah, disinfectant might kill, you know, the virus, but it'll also like destroy your stomach and your esophagus.
I mean, is there some parallel though where they find out all the ingredients to Lysol and maybe there's something that isn't deadly that could, you know, like in some weird way, maybe he's onto like, I mean, I'm sure they've looked at everything and he didn't phrase it the right way. But if you pull apart all the ingredients and there is blah, 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 burin or some shit that's like not deadly, but it has an effect on the virus, then low key, it's like, that's what he was trying to explain, but just said it in a dumbass way.
I mean, the UV light thing, like, yeah, the UV light kills it pretty quickly. And he was trying to say we got to find a way to like get that in the body. But it's like,
yeah.
How, number one, and number two, like, what other effects does that have? Like, you really think all you got to do is like lay in a tanning bed and spread your butt cheeks and you're going to be good money?
That would be a hilarious sight to see. Is everybody at tanning salons spreading their butt cheeks?
Imagine like we accidentally stumble across the cure because Trump said this, and it is tanning beds. Like they were saying, I saw something the other day, a headline. There's some like, what was it? Anti like acid reflux medication that you buy over the counter, and they were studying that to see if that helps with COVID. And it just, as soon as the news came out that was something that like might work, sales. They just, all of it was just sold out immediately.
I was thinking about that today because, like I said, I was freaking out with the White Castle bag. And then I had some orange, mango, pineapple, like orange juice this morning. Mango, pineapple, orange juice. And I was like, what if I was drinking this and somehow it found out that there was a cure for this? Like how fast all of that would get eaten up on the shelf. If you could somehow, as a company, like convince Trump that your product is like some cure for coronavirus, that's all you need to do.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking this the other day too, that when people think like, oh, this thing or that thing helps with sickness, they don't really know. Like the vitamin C thing. I looked that up the other day because I was curious. The evidence is not that great. Like, I think in like one study, you had people, not that it prevented a sickness, but when they got it, if they had a lot of vitamin C, that it ended like 2 days sooner. So instead of being sick for 2 weeks, you're sick for like a week and 5 days or whatever. But outside of that, there's not much evidence that vitamin C is good, like to fight a cold or whatever. And it hit me like, wow, everybody does this thing. Everybody you know is like, oh, sick? Or you got a cold? You got to get vitamin C. You got to
orange juice. I got to have a big red solo cup of orange juice.
I do too. But my point is like, so much of the stuff that we do is we just do it because we heard about it, but it's not actually proven. You know what I mean? Like somebody said it to somebody, and then it was a game of telephone, and then it's just one of the things that just caught on. You know?
I was talking to Molly about that, and it was the same thing with cooking. Who's the first person to like write the ingredients for like chicken marsala? You know, they like who measured out that it was 1/4 cup of oil, half a cup of flour, and this and that. That's why there's so many different variations of recipes, because it's like there is no exact recipe for chicken parm. You know, obviously there's like the main way to do it, but someone could use this amount of milk, someone could use this amount of cheese. Like there's so many variations to shit. So to your point, it's like there's no one method that like is the way to do it. And it's just been passed down of like, drink this much orange juice and you'll be good in the morning.
Yeah. Like you gave me one, and like, it's one of those ones that sounds plausible, but I don't know if it's real, where you say whenever you get sick, you like layer up like crazy. And then you
put mad layers on.
And you wake up the next day and you're mad sweaty, but then you feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. When I hear you say that, I'm like, that sounds reasonable. Like you're trying to break the fever. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to break the fever and like almost sweat out all the sickness at once.
Yeah.
Like that's the idea behind it. But like, is that really what's happening? I have no idea.
That's why it's probably more of a mental thing, because you wake up and you're like, I just sweat so much shit. All that virus has to be just chilling in my bed right now.
But the crazy thing is, like, that legit matters. Like the placebo thing, because there's studies on it. The placebo effect is real. So if you think that something's happening, then your mind is like, bet something's happening, and then you feel better just because you made yourself feel better.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think I told this story once before here, but our friend's dad, Henry's dad, was like he told me that back when the rules weren't as strong, if somebody came in and something was bothering them, but they couldn't quite put their finger on it, and it was maybe something mental that was bothering them or whatever, that was having some physical like side effects as a result of it. If he listened to this long enough, he's a doctor. If he listened to this long enough, he'd be like, I know exactly what's wrong with you, and I know exactly what you need. And then he would get, I forget what it was. Is it niacin? I think it might be niacin. And you can inject it, and basically all that happens is your body feels like, goes for like 30 seconds or so, you get like a tingly feeling. Like your whole body like tingles for a little.
So you're like, I'm good. He just gave me some shit.
And then it goes away, and then there's no other effects of it. And so he would do that for people, and then they would swear, like the next day, they'd be like, I feel great. What you gave me worked. And he knew the whole time, this is just placebo, but it worked every time. So I was like, damn, that's amazing that this is the power of our own mind. And like in some ways, the placebo effect is so strong that you can, to some extent, mind over matter yourself. But in other ways, mind over matter just doesn't work. Like my dad told me the famous story of, he thought he was a tough guy. He got his wisdom teeth pulled, and he didn't fill the prescription for the painkillers. And he said he was walking through work, and it just hit him like a ton of bricks, and he was on the ground, damn near crying when the Novocaine wore off.
That's so weird. I've never like had my wisdom teeth pulled and nothing like that. Like nothing serious dentally.
You ever had cavities?
I feel like I have, but I feel like they've filled themselves. I've never had like. I guess I've had. I know. I guess I've had some fillings, but I'll go like big stretches before I go to the dentist. Like, I think I've gone like 3 years or something before I've seen a dentist, and I've gone there and they've been like, yeah, you just need like a really good cleaning. You might have like one cavity or something like that. But I'm sure I have some cavities in my mouth from all the candy I've eaten. But I've got like good enamel on my teeth that I don't know what it is.
No, I was gonna say the same thing because I don't have the best diet in the world either. And I've only had like 1 or 2 in my entire life, cavities. And then there's some people who took care of their teeth like crazy.
Molly brushes her teeth all the time. Her teeth are white as shit. But she'll always get like crazy cavities or like have to like get like, I think the doctor said she needed some root canal or something, like all this crazy shit that no one's ever even spoken to me about in a dentist.
That's crazy. No, and that leads me to believe like a lot of what happens on that front is just like genetics. It's just like she just got a tough roll the dice on teeth, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's like some pain tolerance shit. I'm sure some people can tolerate more pain than other people. Like
some people never tolerate way more
pain
in
the face or anything like that. But like, I'm sure if I got hit pretty hard, I'd cry like a little bitch.
Me too. Like think about
UFC fighter in the face, he'd be good.
I was gonna say, think about like a boxer getting rocked repeatedly. You hit me with one jab, and I'm out. I'll be on the ground. I'll be done.
I don't know how to do it.
I got a bad roll of the dice when it comes to like heart health.
Same with me. It's any day for me. Oh no,
heart issues.
I don't know about my family. You have like I don't think anyone in my family's ever had like heart problems. I just feel my heart pounding hard every single day.
I was talking about legit like high cholesterol.
No, I don't have any facts to back my shit up, but like when I ate White Castle burgers and I text you that night, like my chest feels funky.
The number of times
you're like, nah, dog, you just ate 8 burgers and fries. That's why your chest is pumping.
The number of times you've sent me the text, and sometimes I've sent you the text too, of like, damn, yo, my heart right now. It's really high. Like you've said that to me at least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, it's probably terrible. Like someone's gonna make a compilation video of like R.I.P. when I pass away. That's like, well, here's why. Here's 100 episodes of him talking about eating cheeseburgers. We used to go to Mickey's Plains and have the waffle fries with the cheese on, like, and the gravy and shit like that.
That was OD. There were waffle fries with cheese,
like mad cheese,
mad cheese, like turkey gravy, right? Something like that.
Some shit. It was just. It looked like the most excessive. Like even the dude making it was like, fuck, man, I gotta put like extra thick gloves on because this cheese is like super melty and the gravy that goes with it.
Wasn't there like did they have like nachos too that we used to get down on? They had something else.
Yeah,
or
they had
maybe or maybe they
nachos.
put like that nacho meat on the fries or something. Like no, what there was something I'm thinking of that's like right at the tip of my brain, but I can't get it out. There was something I used to get there all the time that was like, was it just the fries? I feel like there was some nacho like
They
beef
definitely
on
had
it.
a nacho dish. Yeah, that I mean, like on their late night menu, there was like nachos, chicken tenders, fries.
But you
Uh,
know what I'm talking about? Like the ground beef that like I'm not sure if that was put on fries or if it was put on like nachos, but
just like a plate of ground beef.
no, it's like I think it was fries, but not waffle fries, the regular fries with a bunch of the nacho meat on it, like
Maybe.
the
Yeah,
ground beef on it,
I
and
think it
then
was the nachos.
well, we used to house that at like
Yeah.
11 o'clock at night
I
on the
was just thinking
regular.
about that, man, and like it's such a blur of like things we've done in the past. I can't imagine when I'm like 60 to even think like when I was 24, I used to play trivia on Wednesday nights. And then at late night, we would have, we'd stay and just have some late night food and watch sports and shit. Like, I don't think my brain is going to work. Like, I don't know how. That's why I think everyone who's like 60 and 70 and tells you about some story from their childhood, they got to be fucking lying. Because it's like, I can't. When someone asks me, like, when I see all these tweets, like, who was your first teacher that you remember and shit like that, like, I don't remember any teachers from like kindergarten, first grade, second grade.
I
I don't
remember some,
You
but
remember
like
teachers, but like if someone was like, "What did you do when you were 7? Do you remember this birthday party?" Fuck no.
no, probably wouldn't remember that. I have like flashes of stuff, but for me, dude, I used to have when I was a kid, and up to a certain point, up until maybe I was 14, something like that, I had the craziest memory. I'm talking about like could remember anything from like the moment I had consciousness, not when I was like a baby, but like age 3 or 4.
That's
I can
wild.
remember from that all the way up to when I was 14. Like, but then something happened when I turned like 15. It was probably like the first time I ever smoked weed.
Or seen
Like
a fat ass or something like that.
all my memories just gone, and like now I have the worst memory in the world. And it's crazy that there was a time when I remembered everything, and then now I could remember almost nothing.
That's why I think people are lying. I just don't. I don't get how people remember years and years and years ago doing some shit.
There's got to be some people though that have that thing permanently, that have that like they just remember stuff permanently. That's got to be a thing. That's got to be.
I think the thing is that they have false memories and they're just good at convincing themselves of their memories. It's impossible. How do you do that? How do you
It's
tweet?
just it's a
How are you
talent,
smart
man.
enough
Just
to
like we were
tweet?
talking about with Molly's cavities and like my heart. Like
Some people
it's
get
just
a
a
brain
thing that
thing.
it is what it is. Like some people are naturally gifted at, running sports. Some people just naturally have a steel trap of a memory. It's got to be some people. Like there's definitely a range of like how your memory is. Right
Like
now
when
I'm
Joey
like on the
Diaz talks about his stories and all that shit, I'm like, come on, man. Like,
I think he remembers it all, bro. I do. I think he remembers it all. You think he's like filling in the blanks with
yeah.
yeah.
And I think a lot of the times, like, I have friends that'll do some shit that I'm like, oh yeah, we used to blah blah, but it wasn't me. And I don't like tell that story, but like I'll think like, oh, did I used to go? No, that wasn't me. Someone once told me that story. So like, I'll think like I did that shit, but in reality, I didn't.
False memories are definitely a thing. I remember
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend Brian about something that I thought happened when we were like 14 or whatever. And he was like, "No, that wasn't this person, that was that person." I was like, "No, it wasn't. It was this person." He's like, "No, it wasn't. It was that person." I was like, "Wait, what? No,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was this person." He was like, "No, it wasn't. It was that person." He hit me with like 110%. But like in my mind, Corin, I was 100 on it. I was like, "Nah, it's this."
Yeah.
But he always one ups me. He's like, "No, I'm telling you, it's that," and I'm 100% sure.
Yeah. It's hard, man. And I was watching home videos from like 93, in like '94. So I was like
That's sort
five,
of dope,
6 years
though.
old.
I
You
wish
know,
I wish we had more recordings from our whole life.
yeah.
Like,
No, it was dope to see.
I mean, they would have never let us, but imagine they recorded us in the poker club.
Oh man, yeah. It would just be epic footage of like. That's why when you like, people will post in like they have one old photo of them from like 8th grade or something, and they love it. But like, imagine being able to get put back in that situation, like and watch video of that whole. That's why it's like, I was watching these videos, and it's like I remember going to Florida when I was 5, 6, maybe, but like I don't remember what happened. Like I don't know
Yeah,
anything
no,
that
it's
what
tough.
happened there.
I get flashes, but I can't give you anything that's like concrete.
But I don't even get like I remember like
You don't
playing
even get
bingo.
flashes?
Like
Not even.
I remember like bingo at my grandma's like development shit.
That's something.
But then I see a video of the bingo and it's like, oh fuck, there was that guy who spun the wheel, and like there was that old lady who used to give us like candy when we handed in our card and shit like that. That's the shit that like I would never remember any of that stuff without seeing it, you know?
Yeah, but that's just, that happens with everybody. Like,
Yeah.
you can't remember everything about, like, I have flashes when I was young too, going to Florida with my family.
It also makes you feel how different like the 90s, like we were talking about it with the Jordan doc, just how different the 90s were. Like, and I'm
Dude,
watching these videos.
I love watching those behind the scenes, like 1990s.
So dope.
Oh, it's so cool. Like, there's nothing I love more than like looking at the footage from back then, because you're getting this amazing feeling of this time and place that was just like, you're right, it's so different. Like, so much has happened since then, bro.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
talking about the 1990s. That's before even George W. Bush getting elected. That's before Barack Obama getting elected in 2008. Like, there's so much has happened since then. But you see like a flashback to this moment in time that's just so amazing. And you know what's crazy, Core, is that now, these days, they have the capability to take old footage and digitally remaster it to almost make it look HD.
For real?
Like, yeah, they had the other day on the Golf Channel, they showed like Jack Nicklaus versus, I don't even know who was. Maybe was it Sam Snead? Some dude from way back in the day, and the thing was recorded in like 1960 or something like that, and they digitally remastered it to make it look like it was HD. And you're watching this and you're like, oh, this is like what it would have been like if I was there.
That's wild.
And it's crazy. I would love it if they did that with more stuff. Like the Jordan stuff seems like it's top-notch footage because they knew they were recording for like a documentary in the future. They knew, oh, it's The Last Dance, so we're going to record for it.
Yeah.
But like most things from back then, it's like when you watch, go to YouTube and watch a game, watch the 1997 or 1998 finals or whatever, NBA, and it's whack. Like, it's very blurry, but they got to remaster. If they remaster it, it would be amazing.
It would still look whack, like seeing like Jerry West and like dribbling with his head down and the ball bounce. I would just be like,
no, I said 1997, 1998. Not
yeah, no.
Yeah.
But no, that footage is awesome. I love that NBA on NBC shit. Like that to me, I need to like, if you're gonna take it back, I need to see like some like World War II footage or something like that, like in HD. And that's almost like what they do with these movies now. I try to watch that one movie. Who was the Spider-Man, and he was in some war movie, and he was like he was saving everybody. You know what I'm talking about?
Spider-Man actor.
Yeah, I think he's Spider-Man, and he was in the movie.
Tom Holland.
No.
Tobey Maguire.
Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. Yeah.
Andrew Garfield. And piece together what the war movie he was in, where he was going around, and he was like the medic.
Andrew Garfield war movie.
Bangkok? No.
Hacksaw Ridge.
I saw
that. I've seen that.
That was like some like old school military thing in HD, and like that was Hollywood. So imagine like they History Channel got that access to like the HD shit.
They have a lot of footage of the wars. They do. They have a lot of footage of World War II.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine seeing like Pearl Harbor in HD or something like that.
I know that there's one that they play sometimes on like one of the history type channels, not the History Channel, but history type channels, where they have it in like in color, but it's not they haven't really done the hardcore, like, let's upgrade this to make it look like you're there.
Yeah, I can't. That would just be sort of eerie. It would just be weird to see that. But it was cool to see like stuff that's so obsolete now. You're right. Not too long ago, like I think it was the center, Bill Wennington or whatever, is on the plane with Jordan. He's got like this big ass video camera, like recording mic. And I remember like in the 90s, we'd have a birthday party and my mom and dad would have that big ass, it would be like the big ass boombox on their shoulder of like a video recorder, and they'd be taping everybody. That shit must have had to hurt their shoulder. Like now we could just hold our phones up.
I gotta ask my sister, and you gotta ask your brother. Because I think you and me are the exact age where, like, we always had a computer. We always had the internet from when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I remember literally, like, logging on to the old school AOL dial-up when I was a kid. Like, kid. Like,
yeah, we were at the beginning of Walkmans, and then we were, like, the CD player age.
Yeah, like, we were around for the CDs, but I'm saying that I wonder if you talk to your brother, I talk to my sister, they'll probably be like, no, I remember when we didn't have a computer and we didn't have the internet.
Yeah, probably.
Like, there was a hot moment where for them, that wasn't an option. Where for me and for you, we always had the option of like, oh, I'll go on the computer.
Yeah.
So we're the exact right age, like the exact age where we never experienced without the internet. Yeah. But you're right that there's other things about our time growing up where people today, if somebody's out there listening to this and they're in their teens, like they don't remember CDs, they don't remember VHS.
That's why I like so many people right now going through this pandemic shit. Like my brother's a teacher and he's up to date with, computers and programs, but like picture like a 67-year-old teacher.
Forget it.
Now you have to tell them to download Zoom and log onto the computer and teach to their class, all this shit. Like, what? They're like, what? I never learned this shit in 50 years. Now I got to log on and do this shit. It's almost on them for not like keeping up with the time, sort of. But, like,
nah, I'm not going to agree on that. It's on the fact that society evolves and changes so quickly that you learn a skill and within 10 years it's obsolete is like
a little
sort of screw you a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Rogan makes this point all the time. He's like, we have phones right now. Your phone can do pretty much everything, but there's something in human nature that doesn't allow you to be like, you know what, we're good. We're just going to keep it at this level. Like everybody's always trying to like, let's one up it. Let's make it a little better. Let's try to find something else for it to do. Let's try to, what's the new thing that's going to be amazing? Let's try to do some augmented reality thing or virtual reality thing, or like there's always something where they're like, we got to do the next thing. We got to do the next thing. We got to do the next thing. And innovation, there's no pause button or stop button on innovation. And there's upsides to that, but then there's also downsides to that, which is like you can blink and life passes you by to the point where you're just like, there's some dude who's 68 right now who's like, I never learned any of it. Like, there's plenty of people who just were like, I never even got into the internet.
Yeah.
Like, what? Never even the internet? Like, yep, never even the internet.
I know. And it's almost like you have respect for those people, or are they missing out on mad shit? Because
they're definitely missing out on mad stuff, but I also sort of respect the fact that they hit a spot in their life where they developed a routine and like they were just like, I'm good. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, but then there's also the point where it's like when something like this happens, now everyone's using that online shit. So to keep in touch with family, it's almost like, fuck Uncle Rick. He never learned how to use the internet, and now we're never going to get to speak to him ever again. He's just going to die.
He wants people to die of COVID because Uncle Rick would just have to wait till like the 6 o'clock news comes on, and they never tell you. It's all about like robberies that happened in the city. It's never about like that stuff. So it would be much later that Uncle Rick would realize.
Yeah, exactly. Uncle Rick's dead. He was dead 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right in the sense that like you blink and the next shit's already invented. Like I got on YouTube and like I sort of started learning how to like navigate around and work shit and upload shit. I was having a problem uploading the video because I clicked out of it. And now it's just like everybody's on Twitch. And like I see people on Twitch and they could do their video with like another shit behind them and the chat going and all that shit. I'm like, I just don't. I don't want to learn anything else. Like I'm at capacity. I feel like that's why I almost have a hard time watching a new movie or learning some new shit because it's just like I feel like I'm at capacity right now in my brain that I don't anything else that gets in there has to be mad important. And for me to spend my time trying to find that important shit, I'm just gonna revert back to watching like Malibu's Most Wanted or some shit if it's on TV. Like I'm not gonna
I mean,
seek out some new shit because I don't want to
there's
spend my time trying to figure out if that's the dope shit. You feel me?
I do a little bit, but I'm also a little bit different because, like, yes, there are certain things that if they're on, I'm gonna watch it 100% of the time. Like,
Yeah.
I'll never not watch Next Friday. If it's on, I'm
Yeah.
watching it.
No, there's
If I
always
see,
bangers that are on.
yeah, like there's certain things I'm just like, oh, the movie Tombstone I love. Like, I'll always flip that on if it's on.
But
But
how do you decide what you're gonna invest your time in? Because
see,
like you don't have. I got 2 kids. I got 2 daughters now, so it's like I gotta really fucking decide.
yeah,
Do I want to spend
your
some time on?
situation is different. I'll grant you that your situation is different, but for me, it's always instinctual and I always know right away. So like when Tiger King came out for whatever reason on Netflix, I saw the thing and I was like definitely watching that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I watched that. And like the other one, I watched it back when it first came out a hot minute ago, Last Kingdom, the show on Netflix.
I heard
And
about it.
then
Yeah.
they just released a new season and it was just like, oh, well obviously watching that. So like I think the trick is to yes, stay true to your roots of if you got your go-tos, always watch the go-tos because it's like a comfort thing and it's like
Yeah.
it's almost like part of a ritual of like going to sleep too. Like let me just flip on something that I know I like that
Yep.
will sort of lead me down that path where I'll be asleep in no time. But for other things, like you just got to have enough interests where you know when something interests you. You know, it's like who you choose to subscribe to on YouTube. You know, like you have an idea of the things that you like and what you're interested in. Like you
Yeah.
were just talking about Molly with the pregnancy videos. Like makes perfect sense. She's been pregnant. She's interested in pregnancy, and so she knows exactly. She knows who's talking about it, and so she subscribes. People watching this channel, they probably like politics. They're probably subscribed not just to this channel, but to Jimmy Dore and TYT and Sam
Yeah.
Cedar, and like they know who they go to. But like that same thing where you know what your interests are, it applies to everything. So I'm subscribed to a hell of a lot of political channels. I'm also subscribed to a bunch of golf channels because I like golf. I'm also subscribed to a bunch of poker channels because I like poker too.
Yeah.
So like it's just I know what I'm interested in. The other thing is I'll go down a rabbit hole of like watching dog videos or cat videos, you know? And so and it works the same thing for Netflix. Oh, I see something pops up. Oh, I like that. I'll watch that. But yeah, so I'm a little bit more willing to test new stuff than you, I guess.
Yeah.
But I always do stay true to the originals too.
Yeah. You have your roots.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, you make a good point. And it's weird because it is just like a feeling type of thing of the like I just started Portlandia and I don't know what it was or what the reason behind
Yeah,
it was.
I
But
saw you tweeting about that. Yeah, I saw you
this shit has me dying. It's
perfect. That's
and it's
perfect.
like,
That's what's up.
but like, why did I start it? Because there's so many other shows on Netflix that I've clicked over and like watched the preview and I'm like, I didn't even watch the preview for Portlandia. I was just like, I remember someone talking about it. I like the guy Fred Armisen or whatever, like the main dude. And I was like, I've always wanted to give that shit a try. I'm just clicking it. And I watched it and I've been dying ever since. So
Told
it's like,
you.
it's
You
weird
knew.
how like, yeah, there's shit that like,
You just knew.
yeah,
You
like
knew.
why do I watch Fool Us on Channel 11, the magic shit with Penn and Teller? Like, I like Penn and Teller. I like magic. And I would have never clicked on that show, but it's just a weird show that I watch every time it's on.
See, it's something you knew on some level that that's what you wanted to watch. And what I got to be better at is I got to be more trusting cuz like every now and then like you'll hit me with something or like Bobby will hit me with something or Brian will hit me with something and you'll be like, "Yo, you got to peep this."
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, "Yeah, all right, word." And then I just don't do it. But like I got to be more trusting that those instincts that I have, other people know me well enough to hit me with something where I could give it a shot and they're probably right.
Yeah, I would try to sell you on Portlandia just because it's so obscure and out there comedy in like a weird way. but I don't think it would be your vibe. So I don't know if I would sell you on this shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't think that it's something I would necessarily like, then I might not like it. You're right. Because we all have our unique tastes. But yeah, I need to be willing to trust that when somebody who knows me hits me with something, that it's like, yeah, I should give this a shot. There were some. I've seen a couple shows like that. Like, what's that show with Danny DeVito and?
Oh, Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, like I like that show.
See, for me, I've heard about it. People have told me about it, but I've never been like, let me click on that shit to watch it.
That gets to your point about it's so outlandish. Like, that's Always Sunny. Like, it's just so ridiculous that you can't help but laugh. That's how that show is.
What made you click? Like, I don't even have an interest.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Why.
I don't remember why I got to that. Actually, no, I think that I saw like one episode when I was with Will, and I was like, I laughed a little bit, and I was like, all right. So, yeah, but for me, like, here's the context of me watching that. It's 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and nothing's on, and I'm like half tired, half not, and it pops up, and it's just like, I'll throw that on. Like, there's a time and place for everything. Like, that's not a midday type move, you know?
I don't know how my brain works where I start to go down a rabbit hole of like how many seasons of this shit is. If I watch this one random episode, I'm not going to know what the fuck's going on, and I don't know who this character is.
Yeah, that's a bit like they should label that on shows where you know, there's some shows where each individual episode is just its own little thing, and you don't have to, like, Black Mirror was like that, and that was good. But
yeah, I got into Black Mirror a little bit too for that reason.
Me too. But then the flip side is you never know. Like, there are shows that you have to watch all the shows, and it's like you don't know because they don't tell you. There's no label. There's no like watch from beginning label or whatever.
Yeah. Instead of like ABC funny on the right-hand corner, just put like ABC, you're good if you watch this one and you've never seen the shit before. Like, have that scroll across the screen instead of like tornado warning, you know, in your local area or something like that. Just occasionally the shit should just scroll across the screen and be like, this episode is secular from all the other ones. Like, you don't have to know the series.
Separate, not secular. We're secular.
What's secular? Isn't that type of
secular? Secular is like separating religion from the government.
Exactly. That's what the episode's doing.
Speaking of tornadoes, we almost had one here. I told you about that, right? Yeah, it was crazy. It looked bad. Like, the sky looked like really terrifying, and it started hailing, and it was like, oh no, because that's a sign that it's about to get real. But thankfully we didn't end up having it. But yeah, like, tornadoes are terrifying. I was watching, there's this show that comes on the Weather Channel every now and then where it's like they talk about people who got caught in it or whatever, and they'll tell the story, and I'm just like, damn, if you live in Tornado Alley.
It's also a lot more weird for people. Like, my first tornado experience was in Long Island, and like when I was younger, I don't know how old I was. Here's a memory. I was like maybe, I don't know, 14 or something, but I do remember the sky getting like green, and like on the news they were like, take shelter, and like this is all new to us. So someone who lives in the Midwest, they're more accustomed to tornadoes, so it's not a scary thing. So when it does happen in New York, people are like, oh fuck, like, and it could really not even be that bad.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, there was this golf course that we would drive to, and we had to pass an area where where a tornado hit. And I remember because it was really clear where it hit. It was like everything would look normal, and then boom, all the trees were like knocked down, and there were no leaves on it. Yeah, it was like going north where a tornado had hit. But I don't even know how big it was. I don't even think it was anything crazy. Like, I think it was like a F3 or something like that, which, you know, it's nothing to scoff at, but it's not like one of the big ones that you see in like Texas.
Tornadoes are wild, man. And even just when you see the aerial footage from like outer space, and you see like all the clouds jumbled up.
That's hurricane. That's hurricane. That's not tornado.
Can't you see a tornado from?
I don't think so. Let's see. I think it's just hurricane.
I feel like the clouds, you can see them coming together. Oh,
you're thinking of a hurricane. They always show that with hurricane. Let's see, tornado from space.
Yeah,
you could see it, but it's not what you're thinking.
Anything really crazy, yeah.
You're thinking hurricane. Because hurricanes, they show it all the time.
Yeah. Like coming in from the water or whatever.
Hurricanes are the big, long ones that, we're in a weird place in New York because, we don't really get tornadoes. We don't really get earthquakes. But every now and then we'll get hit with like the ending of a hurricane. Because usually the hurricanes sweep. They're more likely to hit like the South. They're more likely to hit like Florida and, like for it to hit here, it has to go like travel along the coast and go upwards. And that's what happened with Sandy.
It's weird how it's only like occasionally, like the hurricane obviously stays close to the coast because that's where like the water is. And once it gets inland, I guess it loses, its force and stuff like that.
Yeah, it loses. Yeah.
But how it's almost like hurricanes and tornadoes have this sense of like, we're only going to come around every so often and fuck you up. Whereas like we could really fuck you up all the time. Like, why don't earthquakes just happen every day for whatever reason?
No, it's crazy.
It's just like we're going to have a big earthquake every 27 years or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, they say that there's like a pretty clear time frame for pandemics, which is what we're having right now with COVID-19.
Oh, really?
That like I forget what they said, like every 20 years or 40 years or something, we were overdue for one. Like that's the thing, like this stuff happens and then everybody's like, "Oh, we forgot that terrible thing could happen." Like super volcanoes is another one. Like there's supposed to be like a super volcano explosion every certain number of years, and like
or when even asteroids. When they say
that was the next one I was gonna say, like an asteroid or a comet or whatever. Like
they're always like, "Dude, this is the year. Look at this big asteroid that could hit Earth." But like, knock on wood, none of that shit's really hit, Earth.
What point is any of this stuff could happen? It's like the point I make about going down in a plane. It's like nobody thinks about it, but then if you're in a plane that goes down, as it's going down, you're going to be like, I'm so stupid for even being in this thing. Yeah. Like, why am I even in this? This is the dumbest, the metal tube thousands of feet off the air. In the air. This is insane. Like, there's going to come a day where we get like a super volcano explodes, or there's going to come a day where you get an asteroid impact, or there's going to come a day when the big one hits California, and people are going to be like, what were we thinking being here?
Yeah.
Because so much goes wrong. I remember I watched a show one time. It was like all the ways that, humanity can end or the earth can be destroyed or whatever. And there's a bunch of stuff that I never thought about, like the magnetic fields flipping or something.
Yeah.
And like solar rays. I didn't even know what that was. Like solar, I forget what they call them. Solar. What the fuck?
I mean, like, what if we just stop fucking floating in outer space? Like, we just either drop or rise up like a balloon or something.
Yeah, like, what happens if the Earth gets knocked off its axis? Like, solar flare is what I was thinking of. A brief eruption of intense high-energy radiation from the sun's surface associated with sunspots and causing electromagnetic disturbances on Earth, as with radio frequency communications, power lines, and transmissions. Okay, so if we get hit with the OD big solar flare, it's a wrap. Like, think about it, but then something could happen and we'll be like, damn, I can't, like with the pandemic right now, like nobody was thinking about pandemics except the experts, but everybody was just living like la-di-da, like everything's fine. And it's like, boom, whap, you just all got hit with the thing where, well, if you get it, bitch.
Yeah. And we're going to get through this.
You froze.
Oh, we're going to get through this, but then there's going to be some next shit that everybody was like, oh, we're good. Now we're not.
Isn't that life? Like, that's life. Like, it's just up, down, up, down, up, down. Like, everybody tries to maintain some level of normalcy, but like, that's always been life. Like, I'm sure if I talk to anybody, if they're open and honest with you, they'll tell you like, oh yeah, that year, that was a good ass year for me. But then you bring up another year and they're like, that year, my wife left me. I was OD depressed. Like, everything's always up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. There's no like consistency.
But we've never, like, and everyone has said it, but there's never been anything like this. Like, when you start to, like, when I really think about it, like the fact, and like, it's easier for me, like, I don't know how bad it is because I'm not in like a big city. So like being in a city's got to be so much crazier like being on top of someone in an apartment building and like having to avoid them getting mail and shit like that. It's just like I feel bad for people in big cities because it's just you're really on top of each other.
So you said we've never experienced anything like this. Yes, in our lifetimes, we've never experienced anything like this. But not only have we experienced this before, we've experienced worse than this before. Like,
yeah, but people talk about that Spanish flu shit. But like, when was that? And like, was anybody even born?
1918. So it wasn't even that long ago.
No one's even living really right now who lived through that shit. 1918?
Yeah, nobody's living now who lived through it, but that wasn't that long ago. That was like
everyone
100 years ago.
Is talking about that subject heard that shit from someone else that could have been elaborate like
you could read the numbers of the people who died. That's all we got to know. All we need to know is who died, what are the symptoms. Like there's detailed records of it because it happened very recently.
Yeah.
But like anyway, my point was like that was even way worse than this. Like let me give you the numbers of the people who died. Like
what even was that? Was that here in the US, the Spanish flu?
Yes, it was here. It started on a military base in Kansas, they think.
From like, how did that shit even start? It was like it was on some COVID-19 shit. It was just like a strain of the flu.
Usually these things start with some sort of transmission from like animal to human or animal to animal to human. Like that's usually how this happens.
Yeah.
So, the Spanish flu, known as let's read about it. On here we go. We'll go to the old trusty Wikipedia. The Spanish flu, also known as the 1918 flu pandemic, was an unusually deadly influenza pandemic lasting almost 36 months from January 1918 to December 1920.
Damn.
It infected 500 million people, which is about a third of the world's population at the time. You ready for this, Cor? So how many people have died so far with coronavirus? Let's compare here.
Like 500,000 or something?
Coronavirus deaths worldwide. Okay.
Worldwide's probably more.
Yeah, I went worldwide. So
2.3 million?
Worldwide, 217,000 deaths. That's a lot.
Why did I think millions?
Well, there have been 3.11 million people who've had it. That's confirmed.
Cases. Okay.
Yeah, and deaths is 217,000. Now, I want to caution everybody up front and say these numbers are almost definitely higher because there's not enough testing to test everybody who's had it. And so, like, there's all these issues. But anyway, 217,000 is the number of people so far who've died from coronavirus. Let's say, for argument's sake, triple that. Let's triple that just to say when all is said and done, it'll be triple that. I mean, I'm making that number up, right? But so it's about 650,000 or so, right? Mm-hmm. So the Spanish flu killed anywhere from 17 million to 50 million people.
That's crazy.
And possibly as high as 100 million, making it one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. And so
how the fuck was like Babe Ruth still playing baseball in 1918? Like he was getting traded from the Red Sox to the Yankees. And there was mad fans in the stadium and shit like that. No one was worried about the Spanish flu. That was when the Red Sox that was the last time the Red Sox won the World Series in 1918.
Dog, low key, like they didn't even report on it in the U.S. and here's why. They say that this was during World War I, and they made the decision, no, you can't report on it. Don't report on it because that'll hurt morale for the war, and it'll make it so, people don't want to go fight it. And so they made it so the media didn't report on it. And that's why they call it the Spanish flu.
50 million people, you would think that someone would send a pigeon carrier or however they sent mail back in the day, message in bottles, fucking telephone wires, Bell Atlantic or whatever that shit is called, Western Union, and got the message out that motherfuckers are dying from this shit overseas, where if we can't watch a baseball game right now because of 200,000 deaths, 50 million, you're telling me Babe Ruth could still get up there and have fucking sports reporters with their cameras and media writers?
Dog, they didn't know Dickie McGee's acts back then. They didn't know about no social distancing. They didn't know anything. They didn't know anything. And the only place that reported on it was Spain. And so that's why it's called the Spanish flu, not because it's from Spain, but because Spain was the only place that actually reported on this terrible pandemic that was happening, and the U.S. was suppressing it. So
I'm skeptical of that shit, man. I don't
what?
That there was baseball stadium full of people and Babe Ruth was still able to be a fucking celebrity.
They didn't know how this stuff spread, dog. People were just dying. They were like, "Damn, how did that happen?" They didn't know. Like, the reason why this was spreading like crazy too is because of the terrible living conditions at the military bases. People were living like right next to each other, on top of each other, breathing each other's farts and shit.
So they didn't have the like so the news in some way right now is good to say stay home because you can potentially get it by touching another person. Whereas back in the day, there was no, Chris Cuomo or fucking CNN saying like, don't go to a baseball game because in 2 weeks you're going to just drop dead and die.
That's right. They didn't report on it at all. So people were just living their life and then people would die. And here's the crazy part. You ready for this? This will scare you like crazy. This flu and this is why like coronavirus is bad, but it ain't nearly this bad. This particularly killed people like you and me.
Like what, 30s or just like, white, good-looking ass people?
20s and 30s, like relatively healthy, good shape, strong immune systems, like 20s and 30s, because what would happen is this thing called a cytokine storm, which is like your body, when there's an infection, your body goes to fight it off. Mm-hmm. And whatever was going on with this flu, it made it so that your body would try to fight off the thing too hard. And like that would lead to you dying because, Jeez. Yeah, let me read it for you. It says most influenza outbreaks disproportionately kill the very young and the very old, with a higher survival rate for those in between. But the Spanish flu pandemic resulted in a higher than expected mortality rate for young adults. Scientists offer several possible explanations for the high mortality rate of the 1918 influenza pandemic. Some analyses have shown the virus to be particularly deadly because it triggers a cytokine storm, which ravages the stronger immune system of young adults. In contrast, a 2007 analysis of medical journals from the period of the pandemic found that the viral infection was no more aggressive than previous influenza strains. Instead, malnourishment, overcrowded medical camps and hospitals, and poor hygiene all exacerbated the recent war promoted bacterial superinfection. The superinfection killed most of the victims, typically after a somewhat prolonged deathbed. So they're saying there's actually a disagreement among experts as to whether or not the cytokine storm killed the young people or just being malnourished and living in these terrible conditions killed them.
Yeah, also people died younger way back then too, right? Like people were dying in their 50s and 60s, whereas now people are living in 70s, 80s, and stuff like that.
Yeah, people died younger back then, and we've like increased that as years have gone by. We've gotten better with that, but that doesn't explain like dying at 20 or 30 from this. That's not a good enough explanation. It's either because of the cytokine storm or because of the terrible situations that people were living in. But I mean, to have a flu that's particularly deadly for people in their 20s and 30s is like, people like you and me would have to be the ones to literally never leave the house. Like, how they say, like, the places that are most at risk right now are the older people, like, living facilities.
Yeah.
Like, we would be in that situation where it's like, dog, you can't even go to the store. Like, you got to get your older adults to go to the store. Like, your mom, your dad, whoever has to go to the store for you.
That would be the weirdest time if, like, we lived right now, if that was happening where 20 to 40-year-olds couldn't go out, but like 60, 70, 80, 90-year-olds were Gucci as fuck, and they were like, they were all out getting it popping, like
going on those cruise ships where everybody's breathing in the air, funky air.
Oh man, yeah, they see kids out at the bar, they're like tight as fuck. They're like, come on, man,
you guys are gonna die. Get out of here.
Oh, yeah, it's weird how
all
that
right,
works.
and on that note, let's wrap it up, skis, because we got a bad connection, but we've been battling it.
I wanted to ask you quickly your thoughts because my dad was in the Air Force, and he was super pumped up. Yeah, the connection is pretty bad, but he was a lot of people were excited about like those Blue Angel flyover shits or whatever. he didn't really have a real reason to why they have those planes still, but he thought it was cool that they fly over and show you that they can get all close to each other and shit like that. Do you know anything about that? Like why we even have those fucking planes?
I was just talking about this before, but like, yeah, everybody's all excited about this flyover of these planes, but like, just pay these frontline workers more.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they're acting like let's fly the planes to like salute the frontline workers, and it's like they'll just take a raise, bitch.
It's so true. They're like, all right, everybody walk outside the hospital right now and stand fucking as close as you want so you could see 4 planes fly the fuck over as fast as humanly possible.
And that's so American. Like everything always comes back to the military. Like it's always like like every year they're always increasing the military budget ridiculous amounts of money, and it's like you do realize that like people can't afford their medical bills right now, right?
Yeah.
You know?
The first thing the fucking NFL is doing during the draft and all these commercials is like, thank you frontline workers, thank you Walmart workers, thank
everybody.
you McDonald's workers. It's like, okay, just fucking put like Roger Goodell, instead of fucking taking 5-10 minutes to thank him on your fucking draft thing, why don't you bring it up on the call with the president when you're talking about opening up the fucking sports again?
Dog, how many commercials have I seen? All these different corporations with like the thank you for what you do. And it's like, you just spent $500,000 on a commercial to thank these people. Why don't you pass out that $500,000 to these people? Like, they would appreciate that a lot more than your stupid ass commercial trying to like. And even at the beginning of the COVID-19 thing, I was getting emails from like these companies. Like I ordered one thing from a company in like 2011, and now I'm getting emails that's like, during this time, we want to let you know that we're with you. Like, I don't stop
from
it.
Like,
leave
from
me
like
alone.
Bridgestone tires.
Exactly.
Like we want to let you know
I don't
the
care,
rubber in our tires is now being used to be shoved up patients' asses. So it's like, Bridgestone, I was good without your email before. I'm sure you're fucking supporting COVID, but you know, you could have done without the email.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying that they do all that shit.
Yeah.
And it's funny because every time I go to the grocery store now, it's funny. It's almost like a movie. Like every time I go, they add like new stuff for safety, which is good. But like every time I go, they're raising the stakes. And I was like, I don't know how they could go up from here, man. Because last time I went to the store, now they had straight up plexiglass in front of the cashiers.
That's what. Yeah, my mother-in-law said that she went and there was arrows on the floor, and she was like, if you walk, you told me too, like if you walk in the wrong direction or some shit, people get tight at you because there's like you got to walk in the right direction, and there's plexiglass. But you're right, they keep adding. It's good they keep adding more shit, but like, it's just.
Yeah, like next time, I wonder what it's going to look like next time. Next time, people better have hazmat suits because that's where we're going. That's like, that'll be the peak.
That's what they're going to say. They're going to say, like, step into this bubble. And you have free roam for the, supermarket for 15 minutes. But yeah, instead of like Whole Foods, I saw they made T-shirts for all of their employees that said like Hero on it or some shit. And it was just like, that probably cost like $10 million to get T-shirts for every single store when they could have just paid them more money or some shit like that.
It's mad obnoxious that they gave them shirts that said heroes, and the people were like, I don't want to be a hero. I'm just working at Whole Foods. Like, give me protective gear. Like, what's wrong with you?
Fuck.
Crazy world we live in, man. All right, everybody. We love you. We'll talk to you soon. Everybody keep social distancing. We're out. Peace.